go in. And we also were working with some of our other areas as well, not necessarily today, but over the last few weeks, through our ELA and math, and they get respective grade levels with this. So again, we're just continuing to focus on their curriculum and instruction work centered around their professional development, which again helps us move forward as a community. I do want to share one specific example to go a little bit of depth, but just to go into it, to share how that experience unfolded for our students. I'm looking to see Beth here. I don't see Beth. Okay, so but I just want to give a really special thank you to the Thunderbolt Foundation for helping to fund this project for us, and obviously our support of our staff putting this together for our students. So we had the mobile ag education science lab come to the school district here this past week, and our kids loved it. I had a chance to go out and experience that myself and watch some of our fifth grade students in action. For those that may not be familiar, it's like a 40-foot mobile classroom that travels throughout the state of Pennsylvania, across the Commonwealth, really bringing an interactive field trip style experience directly to schools and to students in grades K to 8. I know Ms. Goldman's building is one, her students are going to get a chance to experience that here a little bit later in the year. The mobile lab is really equipped to do the following things. It has over 30 STEM-based science experiments and lessons that are available to our students. So again, regardless of whether it was our kindergartners going out or our fifth graders going out, all of those different grade levels have a unique experience for them. The school is certified teacher, so it's done professionally. All the supplies needed, the hands-on learning experience are there for the students, so it's a whole encompassing piece for them. Each of the science experiences is designed to emphasize a different aspect of agriculture. Okay, so some examples of some of the learning that was taking place there was obviously a focus on Pennsylvania commodities, focus on environment, focus on biotechnology, food and fiber. So again, a lot of areas are centered around their STEM-related, agriculture-related fields. One of the great things about this experience is, it's taking students outside of that classroom, traditional classroom experience, so putting them in a lab environment. So where students will work cooperatively to solve a problem as they form a hypothesis centered around the work that they're doing. The students work on collection of data in that process, and they're working to draw conclusions based on the information that they are getting, and again, focusing on that scientific method of that process. Really excited that each lesson in the Ag Lab really had students focusing on their knowledge and really connecting it to which is an important piece of the Pennsylvania industry centered around agriculture and its impact on us from a daily perspective. And so we were really excited with that opportunity this week. We took some pictures, some got posted out on the live feed. I'm sure, just as my children did, as other children went home and shared those experiences with their family. Again, showing just how we can bring those resources together, not only from our Thunderbolt Foundation, your supporters, board members, our supporters administration, provide our kids those opportunities and those learning experiences, the same as we do with our teachers, supporting them to those professional opportunities and preparation and dialogue. So giving our students a chance to see that firsthand experience. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions? I do. You mentioned the hydroponic system. Are you say you're using it in the elementary school?
So we have two things that we use. Obviously, anytime like here, we brought in the mobile ag, so there's what I call the verbal description of those types of things. And then obviously we do have our fourth column, which does connect into some aspects of that. That we have hands-on inside the building that we could use on this spoken about.
How much time do the students spend on doing that kind of stuff?
I don't have that exact number like off the top of the head. I know that the mobile lab came out, it was a period of 2.5 hours, 45 minutes. The students would go out, and then obviously as we work through the mobile lab, on inside, that occurs on probably a bi-weekly would be a safer, and that's connected into the specials class that Mr. Rockland has at our state, which we're, and then connected to some of the science lessons that teachers have. Again, depending on the grade level, sometimes it's once a week, sometimes it's 5 weeks, depending on what the subject matter is.
Have you seen a lot of enthusiasm for this field from the students?
I can only base it on what I see and observe. When I went out to the mobile lab, every one of those students were engaged. There was probably about 25 students in there. So I think they were excited about their learning and they had a passion for it. Feedback I received from the teacher, as well as our own teachers, but the teacher that was, kids were excited. They had a great day with it. Nothing but positive experiences to share.
Sounds great. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Like always, I appreciate you guys coming.
Okay.
One of these buttons for that. Huh?
I heard it.
Okay. At this time, we recognize members of the public who have signed up to provide comment as stipulated in policy number 3. When your name is called, please approach the podium, state your name, confirm you're a resident or a taxpayer in the district, and topic of discussion for the record. Please direct your comments to the board as a whole, not an individual. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. The privilege to speak may be revoked, interrupted, or a recess of the meeting may be called by the chair if the speaker does not observe reasonable form and orderly conduct. Thank you. And Ms. Johnston, please.
My name is Suzanne Johnson. I'm a Littlestown resident and my child attends school in this district. As a taxpayer and parent, I am frustrated seeing taxes increase while our students continue to struggle with reading and math. At the last finance meeting, the budget priorities included keeping pace with increases in operational expenses, planning on continued growth despite a continuous decline in enrollment, and keeping new facilities looking new. Perhaps you weren't listening before, so I hope you're listening now as some of you face re-election. When Superintendent Figger was here, knowing how much the building was going to cost, the goal was to achieve cost savings with building consolidations by reducing positions. Yet that certainly doesn't seem to be a goal anymore, especially with central office positions. For example, adding a food service coordinator and a second security officer, splitting one administrative position into 2 full-time positions, one for maintenance and one for athletics. The building construction was used as a justification for that additional security officer and administrative assistant, but even with construction scheduled to end this fall, these positions persist. For central office and administrative tax, automation and consolidation need to be explored to more efficiently use resources. And the student incident data clearly demonstrate that a second security officer isn't needed, especially when considering how fast Mr. Lorenz is able to move between our buildings, which are adjacent to each other on a small campus, and the quick response of the Littlestown Police Department, who patrols a small, rural, 1.5 square mile town. This board has continuously approved new spending measures, and then with upcoming elections, you all feign surprise when faced with potential tax increases to cover things I warned you about last year, including new positions, administration raises a year early, buying a new bus when we need to contract out transportation services, and moving nearly all of last year's $3.75 million budget surplus to capital projects instead of setting any of it aside for ACTI, when career and technical education is arguably the most critical investment needed at this time for our students and our community's workforce needs. You were repeatedly told that we'll have to pay over $500,000 per year for 20 or more years for ACTI, and the plans were to gradually increase taxes 1% each year for 3 years to ramp up to that annual commitment. I was ignored when I suggested splitting the budget surplus to ensure funding of both our highest priority capital projects within our district and ACTI instead of fully relying on new tax revenues for ACTI. While you're making funding decisions that seem to prioritize central office, a second SRO, and athletic fields, I'm hearing a reluctance to prioritize critical student needs like career and technical education, and nothing about how to improve student performance. You introduced another automated assessment and instruction tool with iReady this year, and you pushed students into a Thunderbolt Cyber Academy when attendance or bullying become an issue. My daughter's completed plenty of automated lessons, often without learning the skills that she needs because she needs to be taught by a professional, not just another computer program. And it's not just that students and parents wanting more help. Dr. Berryman, when she was the high school principal, and Principal Golden from Mayans has also discussed using a co-teaching strategy with 2 teachers for classes where students need more help. You spent a considerable time developing a new mission and vision statements and mapping curriculum to standards, perhaps attempting to fit square pegs into round holes to continue doing things the same way you've always done them. Are you really making curriculum changes to improve student outcomes, or just repackaging what you've always done despite the fact that student performance has continued to decline for over a decade? Continuing to do the things the same way and expecting a different outcome is the definition of insanity. I've been in the district for over 3 years and watched balanced literacy persist while you slow walk the implementation of the evidence-based science and reading methods, and students continue to fall behind. I truly believe our district does have education professionals that care about our students, but it seems they lack the tools and support they need to be successful. When I'm not seeing improvements in student outcomes, it concerns me when the superintendent talks about the district's own master's program and learning the Thunderbolt way. It seems that our district needs to look to what others are doing to be more successful and lean on external expertise. It is the school board's responsibility to hold each other and administration accountable. You have failed the taxpayers as a whole and me personally when I was harassed and denied my parental rights to protect my child. Now I see a right to know where you again failed to intervene on a student's behalf. You all need to stop covering up for an elected official, putting our district in legal jeopardy by using her position on the school board and in youth sports to create a hostile work environment and harass me and others throughout this community. Several of you need to go, starting with Joelle Ressler.
Ms. Bailey.
Good evening. Dick, that smirk on your face wasn't appropriate. Okay? So I'm here this evening to give public comment specifically to the board members. Not all of them, but I'm sure you'll be able to figure out what applies to yourself. Let me start with, we teach our students to be respectful. I think we can all agree to that, right? We ask them to be respectful in the classroom, while they're at school, on buses, during their whole day here at school, on campus. That respect is not just asked for by the students, but it should be demonstrated by all of our employees as well. And the best approach is a top-down approach. So that would be wonderful if it came from the board members down. Board members show their respect to their colleagues, the public, the parents, etc. And then staff will do as well, okay? What I've seen in the few meetings that I've been here with, there's a lot of disrespect going on. A lot of disrespect. Suzanne walked back to her chair to sit down, and all you did was give her a nasty, smiley smirk. That's all you did. You gave her a nasty, smiley little smirk. You don't have, none of you have to agree with what the public comes up here to say, okay? And that's certainly that's your right, your privilege. But it's not your right to disrespect people that come up and give public comment. You don't have to agree with them. You're certainly allowed that. I mean, that's fine, and sometimes it's actually the way it is. But you don't have to disrespect them. And one of the ways you can give respect without really doing anything, even saying anything, is just acknowledging them by looking at them and letting them know that you're paying attention when they're talking to you. Like Miss Brennan. You've been looking at your computer now. The whole time Suzanne was giving her comment, and the whole time I've been giving mine now. So it kind of gives us a feeling, and I won't speak for Suzanne, I'll just speak for myself. It gives us a feeling that whatever we're saying up here doesn't really matter to you, or doesn't really have any wealth or, importance. Which, that's your right if that's what you think, that's fine. But it doesn't mean you show disrespect if you feel that way. Transparency is everything. It truly is. See, you're smarting again. I'm glad I'm making you happy. At least maybe I'm making you happy now. Transparency is everything. So being transparent, even with the agenda, we'll pick on something that's not even a person, okay? When you look at the agenda for this evening, okay, you find on here an item called, that's actually labeled fund accounting payment summary, okay? But it's actually written that way right on the item. But if you look at, try to match it up to the agenda, it's not called that in the agenda. It's listed in the agenda as general fund checks. What I'm trying to say here is, when the general public is out there and they're trying to look through some of these documents and trying to see exactly what's going on and just kind of follow their taxpayers' money, right? It's very hard to do. This particular document, the general funds checks, this doesn't show you, of all these items in here, which is very nice, very good, it doesn't show you what's coming in to the system and what's going out. In other words, what are you paying out versus what are you taking in? It doesn't show that. But at the top, under tiny little print, it says payment categories, regular checks, non-negotiable disbursements, direct deposits, that's incoming, manual checks, procurement cards, and credit cards. What I'm trying to say is there's little transparency for the public to see in this document. This is just one. You have a whole lot more in documents for this evening's meeting. And you have to be a lot more concise and a lot more specific with what you say.
Yep.
My time up?
Yep.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Perfect.
Oh, come right through, no problem. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Griffin. I'm a taxpayer. I wanted to first address some issues from the February 3rd work session. There was a statement made by Director Sullivan that people have come to stating to him that the cameras were down to middle school. First, I question that the cameras were down to middle school. Excuse me. First, I question that. And secondly, why does a sitting board member wait to bring this possible important security issue to a board meeting and not contact the administration or the board president immediately? This concerns me and should concern the community of this member duties as a board member. Why wait until a public board meeting unless you have an agenda to place blame on someone? Waiting could have caused great safety issue and was a great negligence to the children's safety. This again shows another negligent action for this board member. The president did state to Director Sullivan that he should have contacted the school and not to wait. Director Sullivan did not even know if this was a policy. Policy or no policy, this should have been a common sense decision as a board member and any human being. Also at the meeting at approximately 1.03 mark, Director Ewan, did I pronounce that right? Brought up about Director Sullivan's YouTube channel and election interference. The way these clips are used is wrong in so many ways. It does affect the harmony and the production of this board and can affect elections. They are harassing, defamatory, childish clips. Next, I was appalled when I heard Director Sullivan state to Director Ewan, "Now you sound like a Democrat." Why does any board member think that he can get away with saying anything like this to any other board member? Plus, it really takes nerve coming from a Republican that was censored and had support withdrawn from the Adams County Republican Committee for his behavior unbecoming of a public servant and violating the values of a Republican. A few of them are: Director Sullivan betrayed the public trust through deception and misconduct. He has violations of the ACRC principles of using official power, lack of transparency, violation of the trust of the public. Conversation with the solicitor on taxpayers' money, refusing to give the details to the board about these private conversations.
So this is allowed
On
for
May
Sullivan.
2024, parents asked Director
Sullivan.
Sullivan to stop.
Close the session. Comments?
Okay,
Why-
but you
I
gavel
get the
people when
gavel.
they
I got
address
the gavel.
anybody but
Did I
Sullivan.
stop? I didn't stop Ms. Bayless. I was getting ready to
That was
pause and
board
tell her-
leadership.
Tell her that she needs to direct her comments to the board. That's my call, not yours.
Okay,
I
well,
get to-
other
I get
people
to
can
have
say
this
from the
call.
audience, the past two meetings, I've watched your meetings the past 2 weeks, and other people have talked from the audience, and I'm sick of
You're out
the
order.
two-sided
You're-
fine,
You're out of order.
just like everybody else has
I
been.
let Ms. Bayless say it about 3 or 4 times, and I stopped.
Whatever.
And then she's at the limit, and you've got to direct your comments towards the board as a whole, please. And I'm
Okay.
afraid you're reclaiming your time of 2 minutes and 33 seconds.
Okay. Where was I? Oh, on May 24th, with Director Sullivan to stop recording his, names. Okay, sorry. Parents stated that they wanted the recordings to stop at their children's of the award being done at these meetings. His response was quoted, "If you feel there is a risk for students, then stop the Students of the Month event at our meetings. Remember, this is a meeting of the school directors and not a meeting of the public." And it continues on, and I have copies to show of this also. He also stated about attacks that he was receiving. For every action, there is a reaction. The board has the right to defend themselves from any tyrant that is continuously attacking them and videoing them directly. There, again, is no issue with recording the board members in meetings. It is, however, clips of how these are being used. Facts are clear and the actions have shown